it's fascinating because you've done this very intense and beloved work, and you explore these intense themes. But because of your fame and notoriety, you're also being asked to do these other side projects, which are very popular in popular culture. You've been a guest on The Simpsons.
Yes.
More than once.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, you're in The Mandalorian.
Jack Reacher.
Yes, Jack Reacher, Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how you reconcile, because it's such a chasm between being in Peru, your life threatened by a madman trying to make this magnum opus, and then you're on the set of The Simpsons, or you're with Baby Yoda on The Mandalorian. Is it? It must be quite fascinating to imagine the trips you've taken in your life.
Sure, yes, and I do not want to miss any of that, because I found The Simpsons very fascinating, intelligent, and a lot of anarchy in it. Mm-hmm. And when I was invited to speak a role, I immediately said, do they speak? I cannot believe that. I thought there were only like comic strips printed in newspapers. I had never seen it. And I think Matt Groening, who started it, he said to me, don't you know, since 24 years, we are on TV station.
One of the most popular TV shows of all time around the world.
I did not know that it existed. So I asked for a DVD to show me a little bit so that I could see hear how cartoonish the voices would be.
Yeah.
They actually sent a few of them to me, and they said, you don't need to be cartoonish, just speak with your accent. It's wild enough.
Yes.
It's wild enough for us. So, and I acknowledged, yes. And I really, really enjoyed it. I'm good at that. And in Jack Reacher, there are bad guys. They open fire. They have huge assault rifles. They swear, they shout, they yell at you. They have fist fights. I'm the epicenter of evil. I have very few fingers left. I ate them in a gulag to avoid being sent to a lead mine and lose my life there. And I'm blind I have one blind eye, and I only have my voice to spread terror, and a calm voice. And one of the villains, the sub-villain, who made a mistake, I tell him, you can get away with it. If you're really determined not to do that again, you have to eat your fingers as I did it.
Yeah.
And he tries, and I very calmly encourage him. I say, that was already good. I know you can do it. Just try harder. And it's so frightening that when the film was out, friends of my wife in Paris, they called her and they said, Lena, are you married to that man? you know, we are only one night flight away from you. We can give you shelter. So I knew I was good, and that's my best reward.
Did you the Mandalorian? There's so much secrecy around that shoot. There's so much, no one can know what's going to happen. Yeah. And how did you? What was that experience like for you?
Well, secrecy went so far that I had to sign a contract for a film, Huckleberry Finn, not Mandalorian.
They misnamed it,
you had your costumes. You couldn't leave the studio unless you put the big tunic all over you, and you were not allowed to speak about what was going on inside. So I understand that because it's such a worldwide phenomenon, and fans were lurking outside the hedges with their little cameras and trying to snap a few photos. So, but the experience was very very interesting, because Jon Favreau, who is mastermind behind all this, he invited me. I was always invited. I never competed for any part. I never was in any audition. And he apparently loves my films and loves my writings. And he wanted to make me as a person visible for a larger audience in the world. That's a guy who did all these things. And you see, we are speaking about my films and my acting, but equally important, I think, is writing. From the very, very beginning, I've been a writer. And I started out writing when I was 15, 16, and I published my first books decades ago in the early 70s. And they are still constantly being reprinted. And I keep saying, and it's basically to deaf ears, and it will fall on deaf ears here as well, but time is on my side. I keep saying the written things, my books, my prose, my poetry, with all probability will have a longer life than my films. I will be remembered for my writings, not so much for my films.
I wouldn't say that would fall on deaf ears here, because I think, yes, the films, I think, and no one can really say, but the medium of film can change so much that things can go in and out of popularity. But you write beautifully. Yeah. You are a terrific and disciplined writer, and your writing's very lyrical. And I think that can travel through all kinds of changes in how people experience entertainment, probably more safely and durably than maybe film can. So I think that's possible.
Books are more durable than movies. That's a strange thing, but it's a fact. You can see it.